Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 2. The purpose of the narration relating to the recounting of the naming ceremony. I bow down to Sri Ganesh. I bow down to Sri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Sri Sita Ramachandra. I bow down to Sri Sadguru Sainath. In the previous chapter, the invocation was completed with obeisance to the deities, elders in the family, and the Guru. Having sown the seeds of the Sai Satcharitra, let us commence upon the objective of this undertaking. We will clearly state the qualification and commitment of the author in a very condensed form so that the listeners would get an insight into the book without any effort. In the first chapter, the sequence of the grinding of the wheat and the suppression of the cholera to the great surprise of the villagers was related. Such are Sai's indescribable leelas, which gave me a delight to listen. That delight has burst forth from me in a flood of love, in the form of this poetical composition. Hence my gratitude to Sai. I thought of recounting to the best of my capacity the experiences which would be instructive to the devotees and will also expiate their sins. For this purpose I have written with reverence and piety the series of stories of Sai, which will bring happiness in the world and in life hereafter. The life of a saint shows the path to righteousness. It is neither a treatise on logic nor law. If one has been blessed to receive the grace of the saint, he finds nothing strange. Therefore, I pray to the listeners to share their joy. Blessed is the fortunate person who is in good company and who devotedly engages in the diligent study of the stories of the lives of the saints. I am unable to write the biography of an intimate friend of long standing, with whom I associate day and night. Then how can I write the biography of a saint? When I am unable to know my own nature completely, how then can I faultlessly describe the thoughts of a saint? When the four Vedas are silent in describing the inner self, then how can I understand the true nature of yourself? One should become a saint oneself, then try to truly understand the saints. So I already know my limitations in describing the saints. The waters of the seven seas, those can be measured. The skies can be covered, but there is no mirror to reflect a saint. I know that I am an insignificant person, but when I realize Baba's tremendous powers, there arise uncontrollable emotional ripples of song. Hail, hail Sai Raya, the refuge of the weak and the destitute. Infinite is your love and indescribable. Have mercy on me, your servant. With limited capacities, I am undertaking this venture of writing this account. Do not let me be ridiculed. Maharaj Dhyaneswar says that whosoever writes biographies of saints are blessed by God. Then why should I be afraid? This inspiration to write was kindled by God Himself. Although I am dense and dull-witted, He knows how best His own work can be completed. Whatever services devotees think of rendering to saints, it is the saints themselves who get it done. The devotees are merely the ordained instruments. The real inspiration comes from the saints. Essentially, it is Sai himself who is making me, an ignorant person, to write his own life story. Therein lies the greatness of this book, which evokes reverence and respect. Ascetics, saints, or God can get their story written by anyone they chose by referring grace upon them. Just as in 1778 AD, the saints inspired a person named Mahipati to render service to them and got their life stories written by him. Likewise, in the year 1878 AD, the services of Dasganu were availed by saints by getting him to write the following biographies, which purified everybody. Just as Mahipati has written 4 volumes named Bhakta Vijaya, Sant Vijaya, Bhakta Leelamrut, Sant Leelamrut, so Dasganu has written 2 such volumes. One of the books was Bhakta Leelamrut and the other one was Sant Kadamrut. In both these volumes, he has described the modern day devotees and saints to the extent of information available. The nectar-like story of Sri Sai is narrated in the 3 chapters of Bhakta Leelamrut. Readers should read it from there. Similarly, in the 57th chapter of the Sant Kathamrut, there is an instructive story told by Sai to a devotee which should also be read. Besides, the Leelas of Sai are to be found in Raghunath and Savitri's Bhajan Mala from their own experiences. I can tell you that it will suit the people to sing the Abhangas and the Padas. To the Bhajan Mala, a child of Baba, Harisitaram Dikshit, has lovingly contributed a preface in which he has showered the nectar-like tale of Sai's life, which is like a cloudfall of water for the thirsty chakor birds. Listeners should also partake of it reverentially. Even the miscellaneous poems of Dasipano are also full of feeling and will please the hearts of the listeners while reading the Leelas of Baba. Likewise, for the Gujarati devotees, a devotee called Amidas Bhavanidas Mehta has very lovingly written some tales of the miracles. Besides, some eminent devotees have published from the city of Pune a series of tales of Baba under the title Sai Prabha. If such tales exist, then what is the need of this book? A doubt may arise in the minds of the listeners, so please listen to this explanation. The life story of Sai is like a vast ocean, endless, inexhaustible, full of jewels. I am just a lapwing. How can I empty the ocean? How can it ever happen? Similarly, the life of Sai is profound. It is impossible to describe it fully. Therefore, I will do as much as possible. And please be content with that. The inexhaustible and unexcelled stories of Sai give peace to those who are so deeply involved in their worldly affairs. The listeners will rejoice by listening to them, and his own devotees will have quietude of mind. Baba told stories of various kinds containing worldly advice in respect of common experiences and secret foibles of their own deeds. Well known are the divine Vedas. From these innumerable legends are renowned. Similarly, Baba told innumerable stories which are sweet and meaningful. Listening to them attentively, other pleasures become trivial. Hunger and thirst are forgotten, and there is deep contentment within. Some seek absorption into the essence of Brahman. Some seek proficiency in the 8 branches of yoga. Some the fullness of the rapture of samadhi. All these can be experienced by listening to the stories. The chains of bondage due to karma will be completely severed. The mind illumined and bliss experienced by all the listeners of the story. Therefore, I got this intense desire and inspiration to string together this garland of tales worthy of collection, believing it to be the best worship. By only a few words falling on the ears, misfortunes of a lifetime will pass away. The one who has faith will be able to cross the worldly ocean by listening to the whole story with respect. He will make me his pen by holding my hand and making me write. I am taking the credit for namesake, but I will be just the instrument for his writing. Years after year, after seeing Baba's Leelas, it became my preoccupation to collect the tales of Baba for his simple and loving devotees. Those who had seen Baba, but whose eyes were not satiated. For them, listening to the glories of Baba would be a purification and meritorious. Whoever is fortunate to have the desire to read this book, he will have happiness, bliss, and contentment. When these thoughts crossed my mind, I told Madhav Rao about them, but I was very doubtful how I could achieve this. As I am past 60, wisdom has fled helter-skelter, and also due to my physical debility, my efforts may end up like an old man's prattle. Let my prattling be for the love of Sai. I shall be able to obtain deliverance. Elsewhere it will be useless. Hence this effort of mine. Having received experiences day and night, I took a decision to write the account, a study of which will set the mind at peace and rest. I thought of presenting to the listeners the self-contained and without affectation, repeated utterances of Baba based on his self-realization. Baba told many parables, set many on the path of devotion. All that should be collected, and this collection would be Sai's religious verses. All those who tell these stories and those who listen reverentially, both are benefited with eternal peace and rest. Listening to the stories told by Baba, they will forget their bodily ailments, and if they concentrate and dwell upon them, liberation from bondage will follow naturally. Stories from Sri Sai's own mouth abound more in sweetness than nectar. Listening to them overwhelmed the listeners with heavenly bliss. How can I describe their sweetness? I feel that I would be able to attain moksha if I roll in the dust of the feet of anyone who I find singing and praising these tales unpretentiously. The unique presentation of his stories, as also the apt choice of words, would completely absorb the listeners in him, and all would experience perfect bliss. Just as the ears are keen to listen to the stories, or the eyes are ready to get a darshan, similarly the mind should be eager to concentrate and get easily absorbed in divine contemplation. Guru Mauli is my mother, and the stories about her, which are passed on by word of mouth, should be stored in our hearts reverentially. We will recall the same stories over and over again, assimilate whatever we can, weave them together with bonds of love, and later share them between us. In this book, I have written nothing on my own. It is all Sainath's inspiration. Whatever he wants me to say, he ensured that I speak. To say I speak is egotism. Sai himself is the puppeteer who holds me by his strings. It is he who speaks through me. Who am I to say then that I speak? When the ego is completely surrendered at his feet, infinite bliss will ensue. The whole of worldly existence will be blissful when egotism vanishes. When this thought arose, I did not have the opportunity nor the courage to ask Baba about it. As Madhavrao came up the steps of Masjid, I told it to him. At that very time, seeing no one around, Madhavrao took the opportunity to ask Baba, Baba, the Sana Sahib says that he has in mind to write your biography according to his ability, provided he has your consent. Sai said, I am just a fakir, wandering from door to door for alms, eating bhakri, with or without vegetables, and passing my days. Then why should there be my biography? It will invoke ridicule. Then Madhavrao said, do not speak like this about this jewel. It must be put in a setting befitting it. May it be whosoever. Your permission is important. He will write if you give him your cooperation, or your grace will write it through him, vanquishing all evil forces. Only with the blessings of saints can the composition of a book begin. Without your grace, the writing will not progress smoothly. Knowing my innermost wish, compassion arose in Sai Samath, and Baba said, his wish will be fulfilled. And I placed my feet at his head. Sai, who is an expert in all the systems of divine faith and worship, and the one who is the savior of all his devotees, gave me the prasad of Udi, and placed his boon-giving hand on my head. After hearing Madhavrav's request, Sai took pity on me and purified my restless mind and gave me courage. After knowing my desire, Sai gave me his permission to go ahead and said, make a good collection of stories, episodes and experience. It is better that you maintain records. You have my wholehearted support. The writer is a mere instrument. I have to write it myself. My story I shall write myself. I should fulfill the devotee's wishes myself. Thus, I will wipe out your egotism and place it at my feet. The one who behaves like this in life, to him I will give complete help. Not only for the writing of the story, but I shall reside in his home and serve him. When the ego diminishes and finally disappears, then I will dwell in him and I will write with my own hands. The undertaking begun with this conviction, or any listening, thinking, or writing so done is accomplished by him, but the writer is the only instrument. Certainly keep the records wherever you may be, either at home or outside. Try to remember them on and oft. You will have quietude. If you listen to my stories, recite them, and meditate upon them, devotion for me will arise and ignorance will be completely destroyed. Whenever there is devotion, full of faith, I am entirely in its power always. Have no doubts about this. Otherwise, I am unattainable. If the listeners listen to these stories with faith, then greater faith will be kindled and they will easily experience heavenly bliss and will acquire a state of happiness. The devotees shall get self realization. The soul will be in tune with Brahma. The inconceivable and the formless will be understood by them, and the life spirit will manifest. Such is the aim of my stories. What else can one desire? This is also the goal of the Vedas. The devotees will be enriched because of this. Wherever there is the mentality of contentiousness, ignorance, and illusion will exist in abundance. There is no purification nor one's own benefit. There are always skeptical and ignoble thoughts. Such a person is not fit for self-knowledge. False knowledge will overpower him. For him there is nothing in this world and in the next. Forever and everywhere he is miserable. There is no point in establishing one's own school of thought. And there is no need to refute the thinking of others also. There is no need to debate and prove someone wrong. These are baseless efforts. There is no need to refute the thinking of others also. That sentence makes me recollect the promise I have given to the listeners earlier. Before the end of the first chapter, I had promised all the listeners to narrate the story of how I was named Hemad. I will tell you this first. This is the end of Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 2, Part-1. And Part 2 will be in the next video. Hope you found worth listening to this audio. If you want to get more and more chapters of Sai Satcharitra, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.